Welcome back, everybody. And we are moving on to our third speaker, which is Lara Shear, who is Senior Business Development Manager for Planet Mark, and who will tell us how to actually start on that carbon neutrality journey. What do you do first? Lara, without further ado, I'd like to hand over to you.
Thank you. So yeah, my name's Lara Shear. I'm Senior Business Development Manager at Planet Mark, and as Flo said, going to be discussing the first steps to starting your carbon assessment and plan. I know that Rufus and others kind of started by talking about kind of the business drivers around starting this journey, but I kind of wanted to take a bit of a step back and take a moment to think about why your business should start this journey and what are the business drivers. I don't know if any of you are getting asked or thinking about whether your investors are asking for more detailed information around sustainability and ESG. Are your customers worried about the climate crisis and demanding change, or asking questions about your packaging choices and ongoing sustainability commitments? Have you got passionate people in your team who are wanting to make change and discussing this more and more internally? Or are you concerned also about keeping up with new regulations and compliance for your business? Those are just a few of the drivers that I hear about regularly, and these differ from business to business. But I think it's really important for us to demonstrate that these drivers and beyond that, embedding sustainability in your business really makes business sense. As I said, Rufus kind of covered a few of these points earlier, but I just wanted to pick up on a couple more here. And we always say where there's carbon, there's cost, and identifying your carbon hotspots and ways in which you can reduce these will really help you save money. And I know we're all talking about this, but the energy crisis in the UK is already impacting every single British business. And I think recent headlines have claimed that there'll be a £20 billion increase in the energy bills for UK businesses this year. So finding ways to reduce your energy outputs will be really important for your bottom line too. There are also endless examples of greenwashing, which has led to customer distrust. But by communicating in a credible and transparent way about your sustainability commitments and demonstrating those changes will really result in progress, collaboration, and win the trust, loyalty, and respect of your customers. So how do you start? The first step is all about measuring your carbon footprint and getting your house in order. I kind of wanted to follow the Planet Mark's 3-step process that we really apply to all of our work around measurement, engagement, and communication. Measurement being looking at your carbon footprint and general impacts, but also engaging and upskilling your team around sustainability and hopefully driving behaviour changes too. And then finally helping you communicate those commitments going forwards as well. So starting on the carbon footprinting journey and getting your house in order, I just wanted to demonstrate with this diagram the greenhouse gas protocols breakdown of scopes 1, 2, and 3. So you can see here, scope 1 is the fuel you burn yourself, such as oil heaters and any fuel in company-owned vehicles. Scope 2 is the energy consumed, such as electricity. And scope 3 is everything else, which makes it so much more complicated and complex. But that's looking at everything from the waste you produce, your employee commuting, the products you produce, and also the end of life of those products, and so much more. And now there's kind of been given an overview of scopes 1, 2, and 3. What does that mean for your business and the journey to net zero? As many of you may know, the UK government have set a legally binding target for the UK to achieve net zero by 2050. But I think it's important for us to define kind of what net zero actually means and what this means for you as a business. At Planet Mark, we've defined net zero as getting your scopes 1 and 2, so your electricity, your gas, your fuel, down to absolute zero. and getting your scope 3 emissions as close to zero as possible. But we do recognise that's not entirely possible. So those residual emissions can also kind of get as close to zero as possible, but then offset by accredited carbon removal schemes as well. And that definition is also in line with science-based targets. Just a few examples of what that actually means and kind of starts to take shape includes procuring things such as 100% renewable energy, investing in electric vehicles, engaging your supply chain, and many more. But then offsetting your residual emissions by investing in accredited carbon removal schemes, which I know Max from Ecology will be outlining in much more detail later in the session. So the first practical step for your business to move towards net zero is measuring your carbon footprint. The way this works is by collecting a year's worth of historical data, either based on your financial year end or calendar year, collecting readily available data such as utility bills, invoices, expenses, things that you're likely to be capturing already. It's important, although, to understand what data you have available and what you're able to collect throughout the year. That will actually help you set your reporting boundary and the scopes that you can cover. At Planet Mark, we use that kind of cheesy phrase that you can't manage what you don't measure, but it is very true. So start talking to your colleagues about what data is currently captured and identify what's missing. That way you can start engaging with other colleagues, your landlords, your supply chain, and others to start gathering more relevant data for your business, which will result in a meaningful and more reflective carbon footprint for your organisation. Once you have a carbon footprint baseline, it allows you to start planning your carbon reduction targets and help you set ambitious but also realistic net zero carbon targets. There are free tools out there to get started with. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased coming from Planet Mark, which is a sustainability certification, but I do think it's really important to explore working with third-party providers who can support you with independent measurement and verification, especially for resource-constrained teams who don't have the expertise and ability to accurately produce these measurements for you. Sorry, just trying to move slides. So the next step is all about engagement. And as we all know, you can't do it alone. You'll get on the sustainability journey much quicker and easier if you have your staff on board. It's also really beneficial for staff. And speaking from both personal and professional experience here, I was once a sustainability champion for my university, and it's played a huge role in how I got to where I am today. So just starting off with kind of engaging your board and senior management, having them on board around sustainability makes this journey overall so much easier. Having them being able to sign off on carbon reduction targets and sustainability initiatives needed to take action and continue progress makes that so much simpler. We also believe that kind of identifying internal resource and passionate people within your team will really help you start up maybe a sustainability champions program or a green team. And we have plenty of guides on our website that are free to download if you are interested in setting up a green team as well. That then helps you start to change behaviour and attitudes towards sustainability, getting the whole team involved. It's a really strong bonding experience and team building exercise. And also provides opportunities for your team to develop skills and get involved in other parts of the organisation, making them also feel much more valued. And we've seen with so many of our members that getting different heads of departments or people within different teams really motivates them and helps increase productivity as well. And just to give you a couple of ideas to get started, there's plenty others out there. The first one that I wanted to mention was just about delegating responsibility. It's so important to ensure that it's not just on the shoulders of one or two people in the team, but it's really across the whole team, and you're helping embed a culture of sustainability across the team. You can then encourage positive behaviour changes, such as turning off the lights, but also kind of having stickers across the business and the office, really helping remind the team why they're doing this and how they can help, and also outlining kind of your own targets so that everyone's in the know. One thing that we love at Planet Mark is a little bit of friendly competition. So having some kind of different competitions across different departments or offices really helps inspire some behaviour changes, but also some lovely friendly competition to drive down carbon. Another really crucial point is around having clear communications across the team channels so that everyone is in the know about your sustainability commitments, any new policies or initiatives that they can get involved into, or ones that can affect them is really crucial here. Having kind of ongoing workshops and meetings and training sessions with the team also really helps and continues that learning journey and upskills them, which they can then communicate out to other colleagues, but also your clients. They can also support in data gathering for your carbon footprint. We at Planet Mark score data quality, so improving that really helps ensure that you've got a more meaningful and reflective carbon footprint, and also getting them involved in generating more innovative ideas and initiatives within the team. And then the final point that I wanted to talk about was communication. I think it's really important for you to be transparent and credible with your communications around sustainability. So just a few points to pick out here is ensuring that you share your commitments and plans externally, but at the same time being transparent and honest so that you are ensuring you're avoiding greenwashing. Also using the correct terminology. There's a lot of carbon jargon out there right now. We've got a ton of workshops that can be attended, and I think there's a few free ones going on right now to help you really understand the differences between, for example, carbon neutral and net zero, climate positive, carbon negative. There's lots of terminology being thrown out there, but it's really crucial that you're using the correct terminology, but also at the same time celebrate your achievements that are out there and really ensure that the team are inspired by those. Also share your struggles. I think transparency is key here. I think we've seen a really lovely example from a chocolate company recently talking about their struggles with child slavery, and that was really respected by so many different customers out there. And then inspire and encourage your clients, suppliers, and even competitors. Collaboration is key, and hopefully we can really inspire others on the journey to join in with us. I also just wanted to provide a bit of a case study as well. So I just wanted to pick up on Innocent's TV campaign, Little Drinks, Big Ideas, which was actually banned by the Advertising Standards Authority last month, which has already started to impact brands' environmental marketing messaging as a result recently. A division of Extinction Rebellion, Plastics Rebellion, lodged a complaint to the ASA about the brand's use of plastic bottles, which went against the appearance that it was a brand doing good for the world and claiming that it was misleading consumers and challenged their environmental benefits of the product. I just wanted to highlight this as an example, as a kind of do's and don'ts, which really demonstrates that businesses have to provide that clear and transparent messaging, move away from those vague statements, and ensure that you're aware that others out there are going to try and pick holes, which is why it's so important to back up any sustainability claims that you put in the public domain with data and evidence, but also make sure that you are actually starting this journey. Don't wait. Don't let this frighten you. We do need urgent action right now, and consumers are wanting to choose brands committed to genuine change. So that's pretty much it from me. I just wanted to let you know Planet Mark is a sustainability certification. We're helping hundreds of businesses on their carbon measurement journey and helping them provide kind of support around engaging their teams and how to communicate this out as effectively as possible. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lara. That was very, very informative. We have a question in the chat box by Jason, who says, food production uses a lot of equipment, machinery and building materials. Is this measured? If so, how?
Yes, so it depends what you're measuring. I would say if you're looking at your business operations, it might not necessarily be included. If you're looking at the food you're producing or a product specifically, then doing a life cycle assessment will definitely be measured. So life cycle assessment will be looking at everything from the ingredients, the transportation of their ingredients, all of the equipment and machinery, and kind of end of life of the product and storage of the product. That's all incorporated into that measurement.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned obviously the different scopes that you have when you do your measurement. The one scope 1 and 2 seem fairly easy to do, and businesses can probably do them fairly easily themselves. But then we have scope 3, and then all of a sudden, easy goes straight out of the window. How do you measure everything else? Can you give us a bit more detail?
Yes, so scope 3 can be classified within 15 different categories. Like I highlighted a few examples. Purchase goods and services is probably the best example around looking into your supply chain. It's not easy. We're working with a lot of organizations right now on how to accurately capture this data. It involves a lot of supply chain engagement, understanding if they've got access to that data. If they don't, giving them kind of tips and tricks on how to start capturing that data. Some assumptions may need to be made if we don't have access to that data right now. But there are databases which are providing kind of useful information at this point. But supply chain engagement is really critical at this stage to kind of try and bring them on this journey at the same time, help them understand those values that are really important for you in this journey, and hopefully bring them on board too.
Okay, so this I think links up to Anna Hollis's question. Can you explain a bit about how carbon emissions are measured across suppliers, please?
Yes, so across suppliers, you'd need to start engaging with those suppliers, asking them to start capturing their own scopes 1 and 2, which will then essentially be your scope 3 emissions. So as I said, it's all about supply chain engagement.
Okay. You mentioned that Planet Mark has a certification process, and I expect also a monitoring process then. So they will keep monitoring how you're progressing in your plan. And then can your certification be taken away if you don't do what you set out to do?
Yes, so Planet Mark is all about measuring and reducing your carbon footprint. So we set your baseline carbon footprint, and then every year you have to achieve a minimum 2.5% carbon reduction to retain your Planet Mark certification. Most businesses, however, set kind of a 5% plus reduction target, because we know 2.5% is more than achievable. However, some that don't achieve that, they do become decertified. We try and work with those organisations to get them back on track. But for those that kind of just want a mark on their website or something to shout about, but not actually get involved or engaged in the programme, we do take that away from them.
Okay, good to know, I think. So people who choose not to work with an organization such as Planet Mark and choose to do it all by themselves, so they will have to kind of self-motivate to keep on track with their plan. Have you got any tips there?
Yes, so there are definitely lots of free tools out there. I know that one of our partners is releasing a free carbon calculator soon, so I think it's in the next couple of weeks, so we can try and share that once it's released, which should be actually a lot more accurate than others out there right now. But there's also free guides, free workshops, there's CPD training that your team can get involved in, and just encourage kind of passion across the team, have those green teams set up. But yes, if you do want further support and kind of ensuring that any numbers and data that you're putting out into the public domain has been kind of checked by a critical guide and friend, then I would start to look into third-party providers.
Okay. The question from Sarah, how much does Planet Mark cost? I think that very much depends on what you want Planet Mark to do. So probably best if Sarah gets in touch with you direct and then discusses what the aims are for the business in question. Andrew said Food Steps talk will also cover the measurement of carbon emissions per supplier. And Lee Sanderson says, I read a local council climate strategy recently that had taken a measure in around 2014 and set a 30% reduction target by 2020. Baseline measured again in 2020 had risen by 500% as more thorough. What do you think will become the national standard for measuring carbon emissions?
So we do have a standard for measuring carbon emissions. The most internationally agreed methodology is the Greenhouse Gas Protocol. The greenhouse gas emissions, which I talked you through, with scopes 1, 2, and 3. But I think I haven't come across that report before, so I'd have to read more into that one.
May have to verify that. Thank you very much, Lara.